Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Crypto Hipster Podcast. This is your host, Jamil Hassan, the Crypto Hipster, where I interview founders, entrepreneurs, executives, thought leaders, amazing people all around the world of crypto and blockchain, Web3, you name it. And today I have another amazing guest. I have the CIO at VS1. I know a lot of acronyms. The Chief Investment Officer of VS1, Fehmi Fennia. Fehim, welcome to the show.
Hello, hello. Thank you, Jamil, for hosting us. Really happy to be here. I'm excited about this conversation. Just a quick maybe adjustment. My name is Fehmi, not Fahim, or Fehmi for those who cannot pronounce the H.
All right.
That's fine. Yeah.
Thank you for correcting me. I'll have a word with the people who sent me your name incorrectly. So
All
appreciate
good.
it. All good. Awesome. Femi Fennia today for me. So let me ask you the first question I ask everybody. It's what is your background, and is it a logical background for what you're doing now?
I don't know if it's logical or not. I had so many different lives, honestly. I used to be a death metal guy back in the days in the 90s, turned into a banker for the government here in Canada. Completely different lives over there. Stumbled on Bitcoin about 12 years ago and lost my mind. Like dived into it. I was mining Bitcoin, like living Bitcoin and spending too much Bitcoin on stupid things. I remember being on Bitcoin Talk and begging people to send me stupid riser cables from for my like graphic card miners, like paying 1 or 2 Bitcoin each for cables, right? Like just plastic cables. And back then we used to think about like, how can I spend my Bitcoins? Because we were making Bitcoins and like, what's the utility of something that you can only hold when you don't know how to spend it? So we were actually actively trying to find ways of spending it, which is potentially the stupidest move in my life. I personally also got not necessarily hacked, but I lost hundreds of Bitcoins when Cryptsy disappeared overnight. Almost lost like faith in humanity back then. But I continued. I'm a positive guy. That also corresponded with the emergence of smart contracts, DeFi summer, and I dove headfirst again. I'm a positive guy. I think that you can lose all kinds of things. If you don't lose your mind, you can keep going and you can get it back. So that took me to smart contracts, to DeFi, to NFTs, to GameFi, to all kinds of like different waves. I've seen like at least 3 cycles, by the way. And today we're building VS1, which is a DeFi protocol for XRPL. I'm pretty sure we'll dive a little bit deeper on what that means, but this is kind of a few seconds on who I am and where I come from.
Awesome, awesome. I could picture. I'm trying to picture you with the death with metal, long hair.
I have no more hair, but yeah, like everything's either gone or white. So that's yeah.
I'm white and gray. So VS1 protocol, right? I want to find out about that. What's that all about, including your vision and your role in your vision, and how do you enable institutional grade DeFi using XRPL?
With XRP company, the mittens, and all that. Yeah, very good question. So we have been building in crypto and blockchain for about 3, 4 years. We're a core team of like about 10, 15 people over these past few years. And we've been shipping on multiple fronts, but mainly building an infrastructure, focusing on a lot like EVM chains like Linea, Base, Arbitrum, and that kind of stuff. At one point, we got in touch with the XRPL Foundation, and they were trying to find like real builders in the space, and that's when we stumbled on this XRPL thing. A lot of people know XRP, the company, and or Ripple, right? And everybody knows the token. Everybody knows that they're doing well. They're giants. Everybody knows that they're working with banks and remittances with financial institutions globally. But very few people know about XRPL, the XRP ledger. It's an actual blockchain, permissionless, like a normal blockchain. The beautiful thing about XRPL is it has tons of liquidity, right? There's a lot of whales and normal people who are holding those tokens, but there's nothing much to do with it. They're lacking the app layer, they're lacking the DeFi protocols and the builders to come on board. And we saw this as a huge opportunity, obviously, because we're used to the other side of the fence where we're competing with hundreds of other builders to get attention for very few liquidity providers. And like if you have no liquidity as a chain, you cannot really prevail. So XRPL is really that kind of really a sweet spot for builders because it has people who are holding, people who have the liquidity, but they don't know what to do with it, and they can't even like take it and have decent yield, right? Like or access like some yield vault or anything like that. And that's exactly what we're tackling.
Got it. So, yeah, there is a big disconnect between the ledger and what people on X will show that the price should be 1,000. I mean, or 10,000 or whatever per XRP, and I'm like, maybe it might get there someday, but like, there's a disconnect between what that price is and what you're doing. So, but that's not the major gap that you're looking to solve, right? You're looking to solve a major gap as far as the integration of XRPL and TradFi and DeFi holistically, right? So,
Exactly, exactly. So, but we're not traders. Like we're geeks. We're like protocol builders. We're infrastructure builders. The traders will be traders. We're happy for them. What we care about is okay, you have XRP, you believe it's going to the moon. What can you do with it now, right? Like, are you sitting on it and that's it? This is no Bitcoin, by the way. Yes, it might go to the moon, but the only store of value in my mind is Bitcoin. The rest should be really built for growth, for innovation, for real use cases, right? For like an exchange, not necessarily something you sit on like gold. So that's why we decided to go there. All these influencers talking about XRP and whatever are good for us because honestly, what they do bring to the table is the Web 2.5 aspect. They bring the normies, they evangelize, they talk about XRP. So a lot of people out there, not in our echo chamber, are seeing these XRP influencers or content creators are like, okay, maybe XRP is the next Bitcoin. No matter what you believe in, if you come through that channel and then you hold some XRP, our promise is we will give you utility to that XRP without losing it. That's our vision.
got it. So that's helpful to you. Anyway, any marketing promotion is helpful.
Yep,
Got it.
yep.
So let's talk about the important thing is yield, right?
Mm.
What's the best way for institutions to offer yield to clients and shareholders while being regulatorily compliant?
Yes. There's a few ways, but honestly, institutions care a lot about the concept of risk, right? They're not degens. They're not going to buy the latest meme coin or even the oldest meme coin. What they care about is mitigating risk while like increasing the upside. That doesn't exist in a perfect way, but there are ways of achieving that. One of the main vehicles lately in the past few months, and most like experts agree on this, is stablecoin yield. So with the Genius Act, with all these new stablecoin companies, with all this yield subsidy type of approach and stablecoin vaults, stablecoin pools, stablecoin liquidity, AMMs, and everything is talking about stablecoins. So for us, that will be kind of almost the low-hanging fruit because institutions care about low risk and stablecoins are low risk. We're not talking about the Terra Luna setup. We're talking about stablecoins who are backed by actual dollars and do give some real yield. And I think the minimum bar is like the 4 or 5% that you can get with T-bills, right? That's kind of almost guaranteed in the market somehow today with some decent liquidity. But I also think that there are so many protocols out there that take you to the 10%, to the 15%, to the 20%, even if it's for a short period. And what we're building is how can you benefit from those 15 and 20% on a regular basis without having to be informed and aware of every opportunity under the sun out there because it becomes overwhelming. So that's what we're doing as a step one, saying to institutions, okay, you have money, you can invest it in very stable coins, like one equals one. It's not gonna depeg because it's really backed, and with yield, right? If you're comfortable getting 5%, you should be comfortable getting 10%, and that's what we're trying to do and try and achieve by combining our know-how in DeFi and bridging assets and locking assets and doing vaults of vault and that kind of stuff. I don't want to dive into like technical jargon right now. And as well as the revolution that we're all talking about, which is AI. We're not gonna pretend that AI is gonna be managing the assets for you, but the AI is helping us identify the best opportunities, rank them, rank their risk, score them with like the opportunity versus risk, and then help our traders like do the right like trades a few times a day, by the way.
Got it. So yeah, a lot of people think agents are going to do trading for them, but I think it's garbage in, garbage out.
Maybe one day, right? Like we're not there yet. But AI is good enough today to at least give you the good signals, right? And then you decide what to do with it. Because even the top AI influencer, the on X, for example, um, someone prompted it into giving him 160K, right? That same AI also said that USDC will go to $5. It's like it's AI. Like it's when it's wrong, it's confidently wrong. And it's like it's yes, I'm confident this is the right answer. So for now, we're just using AI to kind of at least trying to remove a lot of noise and identify the real opportunities. And then we do our own research. We have people who are experts in that, and the human in the loop is very important.
Got it. Got it. So I want to find out from you then. You mentioned Terra Luna. I think you and I are both around for that, fiasco, right? And I don't think people have come people I don't think people have come back, who were or started doing the same trading level that they had been doing back then. I mean, things changed a little bit, but when do you think that, the DeFi summer will come back? Like the people will comfortably want to do DeFi, or have they started? And what is that out? What is the setup look? It's not retail, right? It's institutional, but how has it changed, and what do you see as the prospects going forward?
I'm gonna say something controversial here. I'm a DeFi builder. I'm a deep believer in DeFi. I come from the cypherpunk ethos. Like although I worked for banks, I actually saw from the inside how bad they can be, right? And I like when I stumbled on Bitcoin about 12 years ago, for me was like a revelation, right? Like, it was like the true peer-to-peer system with no intermediaries and really like no censorship, and like everything that it promises was really amazing. DeFi is really aligned with that. But what I'm seeing over the years is retail is not necessarily ready for that. Retail doesn't care. I'll do a comparable with social media. Um, a lot of people care about like your data, your privacy, and your information being shared and being monetized by these giants, Google, Facebook, Instagram, and whatever. But when you ask the normies, you ask the normal people, do they really care? And nobody cares. People are sharing everything on those social networks. That also applies to DeFi. So we care about like the fact that not your wallet, not your keys, not your money. You need to have self-custody and whatever. But normal people don't care. They don't understand. So they're comfortable doing it either in their bank or on their exchange or in whatever app they're using, for example, if it's Robinhood or anything else. So my controversial point is I think the adoption will come through those giants, unfortunately. And I think DeFi will be in the background. So those giants will be using DeFi. So they will be increasing the adoption, but it's going to be like wrapped into TradFi vehicles, either Robinhood or banks or whatever. because I don't think people will go deep enough to understanding what a wallet is and how to secure it and how to do transactions on a decentralized exchange. That's too much for my mom to understand. She's like, I've been talking about Bitcoin for 12 years to my mom, and she still doesn't understand what it is. Like, so that's the harsh reality.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it is. I think I agree with you. What I'm like struggling with, and I think some other people may struggle with, is you're in Bitcoin in 2012, and you're building on the XRPL ledger. So how does somebody from the cypherpunk mindset build on XRPL? And are there misnomers about what the XRPL ledger is?
Yeah. Well, I kind of said it in other words. The cypherpunk ethos is what I deeply care about, but I also care about having a bright future for my kids, right? And I think SRPL is potentially like a segue into that future, right? Because I don't think Ripple cares about that ethos, but they do have this blockchain, right? So this blockchain is decentralized, is permissionless, is censorship resistant. It's an actual blockchain similar to other EVM blockchains, even if it's not EVM, and it's super fast. It's transactions like really, almost instantaneous, super cheap, and a lot of throughput. So it has a lot to offer. If you combine that with the fact that I just said adoption will come through TradFi using the DeFi wallet in the background, then XRP is well positioned in that race. So that's why we were like, okay, if we want to be where the masses will be in a few years from now, where will that be? Is it on Base? Is it on Solana? Is it on Arbitrum? Is it on Sui? Or is it on XRPL? And the answer was like XRPL has a shot. Everybody's competing for all these others who are saturated, and let's build something on XRPL. We're not closing the doors to the others, by the way. We're building everywhere, but the first step will be XRPL for now.
Got it. That makes a lot of sense. Um, what also does brings up a question is about the cypherpunk movement. If is it sustainable going forward, or is the cypherpunk movement over?
Cypherpunk movement will always be there. The stronger the institutions, the stronger the governments, the stronger the resistance. We're humans. So, and the thing is, like in percentages, I think it will stay stable as well. So if we think about like cypherpunk representing maybe 1% of the population, it's not going to become 10% tomorrow. It's going to stay 1%. But strong believers, people who really don't care about anything else, even people who want to be off the grid completely, or at least financially. So cypherpunk is there, and the biggest proof is the Zcash coming back on, coming back on stage. Like who would have imagined that? Like now Zcash is going to the moon, and people think it's a new coin. No, it's been there almost forever, but it's reviving. It's like the phoenix because of that ethos.
Yeah, that's what I would attribute it to. I attribute it to that too, because I look at other privacy coins, and other privacy blockchains are better than Zcash. So
Yeah,
it's a narrative, you know?
yeah, it's the OG. It's like it's been there forever, and it's supported by the real like. For example, I'm a fan of Vitalik, right? And that guy, like, if he was a grifter, he would be chilling on his yacht long time ago. But he's a strong believer, so he keeps like consistently shipping and really staying in his lane compared to other like builders and other chains, which I don't want to name anybody, by the way, but um, a lot of them are here for either fame or profit, and it doesn't fit with that ethos, by the way.
Yeah, good. I haven't gotten either one of those two things, so it's good. So, I mean, I hate those. Um, so yeah. So I want to find out, when you talk about Terra Luna, I think Celsius. And I was a Celsius customer, and I think back to that 2022, and I think about people taking loans, and I used to take loans, and then loans on loans and loan, and I
Let's loop again. Yeah.
had more paper money than like not real, but you know. what is the current state of those DeFi loans, especially like in environments that we're seeing right now, which is, I see massive market extraction recently. You know, what is this? What is that state? How do you compare it to then?
I think the market matured a little bit, right? Because when the loans are over collateralized, it reduces some of the risk. But obviously, if you're like if you're leveraging your money and going really like aggressive, then you're taking too much risk. I think what happened about 2 weeks ago or 2 weekends ago with the massive, massive blowout and a lot of people lost money and got completely wiped out, is kind of a good lesson for those who are over leveraged, and it tells them like even if you're a strong believer, a 20% can happen in one day. Like it happens almost instantly sometimes because of the recursiveness of this like ecosystem, right? There's a lot of paper hands around us. There's a lot of people who are not really long-term holders and believers, so they can get excited super fast and they can panic super fast, and that creates a lot of recursiveness. So back to the kind of being overexposed to loans, I think other than these paper hands who I see them almost like as noobs, um, the institutions are carefully doing it today. They've seen the collapse of Celsius. They've seen the FTX debacle. They've seen big issues. And honestly, if an industry recovers after the Terra Luna, the FTX, of like all these big, huge issues, it means that it's gonna stay there. It's gonna be here forever. We're not coming back. So, real smart money, yes, uses some leverage, but in a conservative way, I would say.
Yeah, they have internal risk managers. You know,
Yes. Yeah, they're not degens. They're actual people from TradFi that know how to come to DeFi and crypto and apply the same approach, the same, maybe not the same algorithms, but like a similar strategy. And I hate saying this, they are the ones winning and they are the ones manipulating the markets, right? A lot of people feel that there's market manipulation in the background. Don't try to like look very far. Like we're talking about TradFi coming with big money, and obviously on a small market cap, it's like you can manipulate the price the way you want to. And you have all of these degens who are just like aping and saying, "Oh, it's going up. It's going. Oh no, it's going down," and like reacting emotionally. And we know that trading and emotions don't go together. Like don't fit together very well.
I see excessive dopamine in the market.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
So, but if we're talking about structure, right? We're talking about like legitimate use cases of blockchain. We're talking DeFi, we're talking AI, we're talking language processing, we're taking machine learning. How can we combine all the good parts of the IT, to make institutional grade digital finance accessible for everybody?
I think there's a lot of buzzwords, but there's like real primitives that are already working today, right? The first layer is what the institutions do have, and DeFi doesn't necessarily have, is the on-ramp and off-ramp, right? So they have the links with real life, with real banks, with real money, and they will always have that. And that will be always submitted to KYC rules and that kind of stuff. You cannot just say, like my bank is gonna sell me Zcash. Like that's not happening. Um, at least not in a private way. So if you share information, it's going to be on the ledger. So they hold that. What DeFi brings them is, okay, now that you brought that liquidity or gave the on-ramp and off-ramp to whoever is in your ecosystem, then DeFi gives you very basic things that are very powerful, by the way, because I see them as like I keep saying the DeFi Legos. You can stack them one on top of the other, and that's what makes like building systems super creative. So the first layer is obviously like pooling liquidity together and having AMM pools There are different flavors of AMM pools, by the way, not just like the Uniswap V3 and V4. We can have a full episode on those, but pooling liquidity together is the first level. The second is allowing people to borrow. You mentioned lending on borrowing. So if I'm an XRP maxi or I'm a Bitcoin maxi, I don't want to sell my XRP. I don't want to sell my Bitcoin. But what do I do? Should I just sit on it and just hope that it keeps going to the moon? Or can I do something with it? So that's where first step is lending on borrowing, which means instead of selling my Bitcoin to pay my bills, for example, or to invest in this new meme coin because I'm stupid, I can borrow against it. I can say, okay, I'm gonna borrow against 20% of my Bitcoin, 50% of my Bitcoin, 60, 70 if I'm like getting crazy, right? I wouldn't recommend borrowing more than 80% of your Bitcoin because you can lose it all. And then, yes, it acts as a stop loss, but you'll have to buy them back and it's just a hassle for nothing. So borrowing against it is something that has been tested, battle tested through multiple protocols. It's audited. The smart contracts work very well. So you can just like say, I borrow against my Bitcoin. I have USDC now, and then I can take that USDC and go somewhere else and make yield with it, or buy my meme coin, or buy an NFT if I want to like just like brag about it. And that is step number two. Once you have these more liquid assets, because I really see some assets as store value, you should not be touching them unless you borrow against them, then you can go to DeFi and get some yield, right? Yield on stable coins, yield on other types of coins. And there's all kinds of protocols popping every day that are promising higher yield. They're actually giving away the yield, but usually people who are familiar with DeFi Summer, you know that the yield starts at 20,000% on day one, and then it goes down to 1% after a few months. So if you were there early, you get that 20,000%. Otherwise, you get there late, and then you suffer from impermanent loss and all kinds of other issues that are a little bit more technical. So our goal here is to say timing is important in this race. And it's a PvP race, by the way. It's the humans against humans or investors against other investors, like in real life. So that's layer 3, right? And when you get even smarter, you can go to layer 4 and start using tools like Pendle, for example, and potentially looping on the yield portion, or at least splitting principal and yield and doing like creative things. And there's people building on top of Pendle, you can stack them. An institution that is risk averse, I would say, would go all the way to level 3.5 and stop there, because that's enough yield for them to say, we're getting a 10% on our $1 million, on our $10 million, on our $100 million. 10% is huge, right? So that's where the opportunity is today. And if those institutions pass on some of that yield to their users, then they will onboard and actually reduce the churn as well. So it's kind of an ecosystem of opportunity sharing between people who are fighting for attention, for liquidity, for users, and trying to like steal users from each other. And we're talking about Web 2, not Web 3 in this case. Which makes this ecosystem even more beautiful. So I'm not worried about like DeFi being in the background as long as the adoption is there.
Got it. So I was going to ask you what the next phase of institutional Web3 adoption looks like, but you explained it pretty good there in the background. My question is okay, the institutions will get to DeFi 3.5, right? But let's say they jump to this 4.5. Instead of we'll bypass 4, go to 4.5. Does that open up a whole new slate of financial products that institutions can offer clients we have not seen before? And what could some of those innovative financial products look like?
We cannot predict the future, but if we look back and over the last maybe 3 to 5 years, there have been huge unlocks, right? And those unlocks came with a lot of profit for those who were in the know right at that moment. And I think we mentioned AI a few times already on this show today. it will come from that angle, right? Not AI creating new thing, but AI helping some people who are already in the know more and get better. And that's where institutions can potentially stumble on one of these like new really aha moments and like really like use that first mover advantage, because that's where it comes down to, by the way, like in real life. Um, I can potentially give some examples. Like today, one of the use cases for crypto is fundraising, right? Like a lot of people are diving into crypto because they think that they can raise faster in a more efficient way. And one of the issues of raising with crypto is the way it is been done over the past few years, right? Like it's you go to VCs, you pitch your project, you pitch your team, you show some traction, some product market fit. VCs buy the token at a discount, they're vested and locked for maybe 1, 2 years and something like that. And then they start selling and dumping, and people start complaining, oh, the token is tanking, and VCs dumping on retail and low float, high FDV, this. So like we've seen that over and over and over and over, almost across all the projects. Today there are new ways, and I'm a token design guy, by the way, and I'm excited about these new ways. Like projects like the Flying Tulip, projects like the MetaDAO are reversing that paradigm by saying, okay, instead of like being super speculative and dumping on other people, how about we do it in a way where you're still investing in the team, you're still giving them a runway, but you're not incentivized to dump on retail at all, and you're not taking risks because, like with the Flying Tulip design, you have the put option, the put option that you have for your investment, which makes your risk max like 4 or 5% of your investment, which means I can dump $100 million on this project, and the max I can lose is 5 million, but I can double it, I can triple it, I can 10x it. So any investor that sees that promise written in smart contracts, not just like trust me, bro, it would be stupid to not jump on it. So this is a new unlock. The meta DAO as well is very similar, but in the end, the investors are the ones who decide if they want to give the tokens to the team or not based on KPIs, if I can summarize it that way. That is also a new unlock. So as humans, we're super creative, and nobody creates something out of thin air. We iterate. We see something and we're like, oh wow, that's amazing, I'm gonna add this to it, and then it becomes even more amazing. So innovation will keep bringing these new use cases, and institutions will adopt them when they see that the risk level is fit for them.
Got it. That makes sense too. I like what you said a little bit earlier. You said, and I throw my money into a meme coin because I'm stupid. I like that, but I don't do that. But neither do you. But
I lost many times to meme coins, and I still hold like sometimes like it lost 98% of its value. It's like there's no reason to sell anymore. Like just like keep it there. Maybe it revives, but it's a lesson, right? Like meme coins are just like it's the memetic side of them. And I hate to do this, but the king of meme coins killed all the other meme coins. I'm not gonna say his name.
yeah, well, that was, yeah. I'm not going to say his name either, but it brings up a point. You said, it brings up maximalism, you know, and you said DeFi. DeFi is Legos, So I see a Lego from this chain, XRPL, and a Lego from Aave, and a Lego from Chainlink, and you put them all together, instead of, okay, Bitcoin rules them all. Like, I don't really subscribe to the one Lego. What's the message for the people, like for DeFi being Legos, assorted Legos, and why is that better than just one single Lego?
I'm I'm torn on this. So I'm not giving any financial advice to anybody, by the way. So the Bitcoin maxi theory is protectionist. So it's not about like innovation or anything. It's about we truly believe that this is the thing, the only thing, immutable. Do not touch it, do not change it, and it's gonna go to the moon. Fine. I can agree to that. Um, on the other side, the actual DeFi Legos is really kind of on the growth side of things and on the innovation. So the potential is much higher, but high risk, high rewards as usually, because that ecosystem is also full of scammers, full of like fake promises, or maybe people who are trying to do things and fail at it. Maybe they don't have the skill set or the context, or something's not working. The hackers are also there. Bitcoin is tough to hack, by the way. So that is kind of where you need to decide. Do you want to stay on the safe side and just sit on something that you know that it's going to keep growing over time, or kind of like navigate, right? Like navigate rough waters and be smart about it. With some help, I would recommend going to the DeFi Lego and try to kind of really build stacks over stacks and take risks, maybe mitigated risks, and maybe like come back to Bitcoin once you make some profit, right? Like you don't have to stay in DeFi forever. You can have like this hybrid approach where, okay, I'm going to take some capital, do this with it, bring some of it back to Bitcoin, and then do this again. And then you can keep going back and forth instead of only betting on one or the other. That's my personal take.
You bet on both. Makes sense. That's good. Well, I enjoyed this conversation. So I want to thank you very much for your time today. I have one last question. It's an easy one. How can people find more information about you, about XRPL, about VS1? How can they do that?
Well, first is VS1.finance. That's our website. Over there, you'll find our X account, our LinkedIn, all the social media information, and obviously all the information about what is VS1. So VS1.finance is the website. My personal Twitter handle is 0xff underscore underscore, so you will not remember it, but you can also find me on LinkedIn. My name is Fehmi. If you search for Fehmi VS1, you will find me. DMs are always open. I'm a super friendly guy. I like having coffee conversations or discussions or heated debates, as long as we don't talk about politics. So yeah, you can find us on Twitter, you can find us on Telegram, on Discord. All of that is potentially on VS1.finance if people can just remember one thing.
Awesome. Thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you. Thank you for having us. It was fun.